In the top of tower, there's a boss monster named Baphomet. He sees the people who climbs the tower as toys due to how weak they are. He is the ruler and the assessor that discerns the grade of so-called toys. Occasionally, there's a knight, assassins, and a mage who tries to challenge Baphomet, but all of them died on his hand. Even having unmatched power, Baphomet grows bored and tired, unable to go to the world where the toys live. Suddenly, the phone rings that grabs his attention. The ruler, Baphomet, becomes curious and suddenly got an idea. One time, when another adventurer challenged the top floor of the tower, Baphomet spared him to teach the great ruler how to use the phone for him to learn more about what kind of world the toys live in. While Baphomet is busy, the challenger tried to slay Baphomet but failed and died in an instant. The things that the toys left behind becomes entertainment for him and made him understand how so-called toys live. Knowing how humans live, the desire of Baphomet to see the real world grew. Knowing that there's a god in the world of humans, Baphomet asks himself if that god will grant his wish as well. Meanwhile, while Baphomet is contemplating, there's another challenger stepped in to challenge the tower. Baphomet didn't expect anything for him because there's no one comes close to his strength in all of his battles. Baphomet didn't expect it how strong the challenger is. They are on par with each other. He's something that the great ruler wished for, the highest grade. The great ruler is fired up and didn't expect to remember the sensation he forgot in a long time. It's the battle he truly desired. Baphomet cast a chain magic above the enemy, but challenger easily dodged it. Baphomet is truly having fun in their battle, but suddenly overwhelmed by the challenger. Even Baphomet is having fun fighting a worthy opponent. There's a feeling of envy to humans growing on him because of the difference of the situation where they in. In the end, while Baphomet is being overwhelmed, he realized why. It is because his opponent is free and strong, and Baphomet also want to achieve the freedom he longed for. He wished to become a human. At the brink of death, there's a screen that suddenly pop out right front of his eyes, stating, "To kill the hunter which will give him freedom as a reward." While the challenger leaves, Baphomet grabs the sword, even he's in the brink of death. And suddenly, the tower collapsed. While humans is trying to recover all of the corpse they can found on site, there's a sole survivor, and it was Baphomet. He thought that he died that time, but he remembered what really happened. That time, even he was near Door's death. He gathered all of his remaining strength and grasped the hearth of the hunter and killed it. While in deep thought, the excavator is keep asking the name of the sole survivor. And this sole survivor responded, Baphomet. Hunters, they are the ones who fight against monsters that exist inside the gates and towers. The position wasn't that great at first until that day, the gate shock. The gate shock is the phenomenon that occurs when a tower isn't dealt with for a long time, resulting in the monsters breaking through the gates. A lot was killed and died on the process, and eliminated 1/3 of the world's population. After that incident, people started to train hunters to clear the tower. As the ruler of the Tower of Abyss, most of the hunters died on his hands, the one who was captivated by humans and chose to become human himself. However, the people mistook him, who came out alive as a hero who cleared the Abyss Tower. There's a lot of attention to him. The people wanted to see the heroic power he possessed, but unfortunately, he lost his powers. He got degraded to the con artist of the century, from the ruler of the tower, and suddenly found himself working under the dungeon, a quarry backstreet leader of the dungeon quarry. In the quarry of some dungeon, a newcomer appeared and being introduced to his job in the quarry by his senior instructor. And suddenly Baphomet appeared that gets the attention of the newcomer for the reason that Baphomet is escorted by different individuals that also work in the quarry. The senior instructor noticed it and said that he should never associate himself to those guys, referring to Baphomet and his escorts. He explained that the group where Baphomet belongs are nasty delinquents and evil guys who'll persistently bully people they don't like, and specifically pointed to Baphomet. The newcomer is in shock and asked why he's still allowed to work in the quarry. The senior instructor stated that the operation heads like him a lot since he's really good at the job. On the other hand, it's already paycheck for workers working on the quarry. The one worker complained why money is still given inside of the envelopes, and the person in charge responded that it's all about retro feels. The person in charge handed the paycheck for Baphomet, but later on said that he sent it that way, which pisses off Baphomet for some reason, while discussing about what they were going to do in their hard-earned money. One of the people is curious and asks Baphomet, where do he send all of his money earned from his work? Which makes other reacts weirdly for the reason that it's the question that Baphomet hate the most. He suddenly remembered his past after becoming human. At the time, he hit the rock bottom after being portrayed as a con artist. After getting injured, he had to go to hospital operated by a quack doctor, but he didn't have money currently to pay the doctor. The quack doctor made an offer to pay with his body. When Baphomet came to his senses, he was already working at the quarry to earn that money as payment for his recovery, which is the reason why he can't even use the money he worked for himself. Baphomet then added that working in the quarry is much better choice because it was more difficult for him to go out after his face was plastered everywhere because of the nationwide scam show. At the beginning, working in the quarry, Baphomet is not really welcomed and treated indifferently for the reason that even the people working there is quite aware of his issue. Being labeled as con artist doesn't sit on him well. One by one, he beat people into a pulp who belittle him, and at some point, little by little, people sticks by his side, and Baphomet ended up having to play out being a leader in delinquent group. He then realized that the life he's currently living is not the human life he was planning to enjoy. On the other hand, the newcomer was attacked by a monster, but luckily, hunters arrive at the right time and slay the monster. The hunters asked if he was okay and said that the area is not cleared yet and should not have come. Baphomet saw what happened, and in his eyes, envy was evident. He wants to have a power same us them, not a power to just only beat up humans. The reason why Baphomet lost his power was because he turned to human. And with that, he started to question himself, why did he try to become human? One person come in mind, the opponent he faced in the tower. He remembered that he aspires to be as strong and cool like him. While Baphomet is in deep thought, one of his group members stated that Baphomet is much cooler and added that hunters are not that great. The other members agree and said that if those guys would have been normal like them, they wouldn't have awakened. Then one-on-one with them would be only piece of cake. Other member joins the conversation and said that hunters earn a lot of money from the magic stones they get from the monster subjugation. And because of that, a lot of hunters lives on the top floor penthouses shaped like towers. Suddenly, they notice Baphomet smiling. They asked if he was thinking something nice because of the expression in his face. Baphomet replied, "Because you guys are funny." They are glad to hear it, and asked who was the funniest for the reason that they made a bet, and whoever makes their Hyungnim smile first takes all. Baphomet was in awe and realized that this is the feeling he felt before. A feeling when he used to play with his toys in the tower. It was enjoyment. Now he can feel it even if he doesn't fight. He thought that maybe because he became human. Suddenly, one of his groups asked a question if does he really doesn't have a name. Baphomet responded that he had one, but he didn't use it anymore. One of his comrades responded that if he wants to use his name. He then added that his parents put their heart and soul into coming up with the name, but it couldn't see the light of day, which implies not being known. His parents might be more pleased if someone handsome and cool as him would use the name. Baphomet asked his name, but the person didn't able to respond because of the sudden explosion. Baphomet is in shock of what suddenly happened in the quarry. All of them asked to be saved, but Baphomet understood that it's already too late for them. The toys got destroyed, is the only thought in his mind amidst the chaos. Baphomet was in rage and asked if who is the bastard that is responsible on what's happening in the quarry. The newcomer suddenly appeared nowhere facing the two hunters and said, he really likes robbing hunters. The hunters were clueless of the happening as they faced the person who's in front of them, but then realized that he's the one in the rumors, the one who attacked to steal the spoils of the hunters. The other hunter logically assesses the situation. He said that even saving the people who survives of the explosion, they wouldn't able to survive after getting treated. He suggests that they should run away for the reason that he's a B rank, that they won't stand a chance against him. The other hunter opposed it and said that they just couldn't leave the civilians and escape by themselves. The other hunter then asked if how they can manage to win, and added that it's better to go ahead and ask help for the veteran hunters. But as before he finishes what he wants to say, the hunter-killer swiftly cuts the throat of the other hunter. In rage, the other hunter full speed confronts the hunter-killer, but easily defeated by him. Suddenly, a portal appeared where all of his accomplice comes out. As the hunter unable to move, they talked about their plan to sell her organs. In her eyes, despair was really evident. The hunter's voice echoed on the quarry as she asks for someone to save her. Suddenly, one of his accomplice heads fly off. As the hunter-killer looks behind, it's very clear how his comrade was being slayed one by Baphomet, while Baphomet was still keep asking, who is the bastard that is responsible of the chaos? Going back in the midst of the chaos, a screen appeared. It was a hidden quest from the system stating that he should be angry on behalf of human. By completing this, it would reward him the power he desires. So, Baphomet was determined to avenge his comrades. Baphomet rushed into them swiftly. They tried to counter, but it's futile as Baphomet easily killed them. Baphomet directly stared with anger to the hunter-killer, which made the killer-hunter amazed on how Baphomet handles them easily. At the middle of their fight, the killer-hunter is curious and keep asking Baphomet about his rank. He kept asking on why his in this quarry and disguise himself as seeing how strong he is. At some point, Baphomet was being overwhelmed by the hunter-killer using his unique sword that stretches every time like a whip. But the situation layer changed as the passive activates as he bleeds, as it increases his abilities by 15%. The hunter-killer was in shock and couldn't believe it as Baphomet swiftly put his fist right into his face, which made the hunter-killer fly off. The hunter-killer didn't expect how strong Baphomet is. The hunter-killer keeps on resisting in order to not be killed. But then, he realized how strong Baphomet was and perceived Baphomet as a monster. Baphomet cuts off his arm for the sake of the guy who'd been pushed for the front lines, the other arm for the sake of the quiet person, the left leg for the person who always had a food on him. While the hunter-killer was in despair, he keeps asking the identity of Baphomet. But Baphomet ended his life by stabbing him for the sake of making him angry for the reason that he killed the close human to him named Sha Min Wu, as Baphomet finally ended the life of the hunter-killer. Baphomet can't able to suppress the urge to kill even an ally because of the skill he used in the battle. It keeps asking to kill the survivor present. Luckily, rescuer arrived and noticed that Baphomet was trying to kill the other survivor. The rescuer was in wonder as Baphomet was not the person they are looking for and assumed that there's two of them. Baphomet suddenly engaged to fight them, but a mysterious enigma appeared. This enigma said that it was hard keeping Baphomet alive and should not be destined to die now. The enigma put him to sleep with just a touch, which made the rescuer in wonder as why Baphomet suddenly cease his attack and just flop to the ground. As Baphomet was asleep, he has a weird dream where he commands to kill all humans on Earth, but suddenly being stabbed in the back by the strong hunter who he killed on the tower. The hunter said that Baphomet is ignorant, and now aware of how weak he is as the king of the tower, a frog in a well. He also added that only death awaits to those weak. As Baphomet gained consciousness, there's a person behind the glass interrogating. He was aware of Baphomet's identity, the Mr. Swindler, an alias that all people know. He was being asked if he's the one who killed the hunter-killer they are chasing, or is it all a scam? He was intrigued on how he can't find any information regarding to him. Baphomet suddenly punched the tinted glass, causing it to crack. Baphomet was started to get irritated to the question and answered with resolution on all of his questions. He was annoyed people calling him hero even though he didn't want to, but then later on called him as con artist. He also acknowledges killing the hunter-killer because he was pissed off and don't want to reflect and regret in any of his doing. He added that he won't hesitate to do it again if he has to. Cutting his arms and limbs and break him into pieces is something that serves him right. The mysterious man behind the glass responded, "What if I made you the same?" Which made Baphomet intimidated. The man burst in laugh and asks Baphomet, "Can you even kill me?" and appeared right in front of Baphomet. He suddenly remembered the powerful hunter who challenged him in the tower. As Baphomet charged to the man easily subdues him and praised Baphomet for the tenacity he has. At that point, Baphomet realized that the person he's facing right now is strong. The man then introduced their guild, which called Rogue, a government guild that secretly made in order to stop crime-committing hunters. He explained that the hunter he killed was a hunter they are chasing, and he was to be killed immediately when found. He disguised himself as a grave hunter, hunted innocent hunters, and sold their body organs. There was a superstition going on around among rich old men that you'd become healthier or immortal if you received an awakened one's organs. They are thankful of Baphomet, but quite curious for the reason that it was neatly done, as if it was done by an expert's hands. They have the assumption that someone who recently awakened wouldn't able to pull it off, only a serial killer who have experience killing people. Since he can find information regarding about Baphomet, he tried to talk with him to find out what kind of person he really is. While being pinned and unable to move, Baphomet is quite annoyed that after being human, he couldn't fight evenly against likes of him. If only he had more free body, no one could oppose him. The assessment of the man to Baphomet is not that good. All he can think regarding to Baphomet is a dangerous person, born with the perfect cause of evil that needs to be cut. As the man trying to reach out the throat of Baphomet, he burst in laugh and tease him because of his scared reaction. He clarifies that they won't able to just kill a person and added that he personally quite likes him. He invites Baphomet to become one of them, become a hunter of Rogue, as he has natural talent in killing. As the day passed by, Baphomet arrived on Hunter's Central Administration headquarters to register himself as a hunter. With the help of Rogue, they make slight changes to the identity of him. As the lady asked his code name for his username, he responded as Baphomet. On another scene, we can see Baphomet was fighting a wolf for some reason. He beats up the two wolf and the one who remains is the boss monster. As the monster tries to attack him, he just stretched his arms, signaling the monster to stop. Baphomet tried to summon something but failed in the process. With all his might, the wolf attacked Baphomet, but Baphomet countered the wolf with just a single punch, causing it to bleed a lot. As Baphomet exits the dungeon, he noticed that the strength he has in the past hasn't fully returned yet. He can only think of one reason, and that is the red screen that pop out stating to get angry in behalf of human in order to get the strength that he desires. As he contemplates, he then later on realized that he doesn't know what and why the screen pops out and requests a lot of things from him. Giving it a lot of thought, he wouldn't able to get answer anyway and decided to just go with it for now.